Okay, please confirm you can see my slide.
Not yet.
Can you confirm?
Not yet.
Can you confirm?
I mean, maybe it's coming up.
Not yet.
Yes.
What about now?
Okay, we can
What
see
about
it now.
we can see it now? Okay, that's fine. All right, so once again, I want to thank you all for being part of this section that has to do with Microsoft Azure as a cloud service platform for cloud computing. If we can all recall, we can all remember that we have started series of trainings on cloud computing, where we have taken through issues around operating systems, issues around how we can use Linux for managing our servers, issues around automation of processes, issues around how we can make use of different cloud service providers. All right, so I've also taken time to look at the alt school, some of the presentations at alt school, but I can confirm to you all that the only time that was allocated for Microsoft Azure as a cloud service platform was less than 5 minutes. And that has necessitated maybe the opportunity given to me as somebody that has a little bit of idea about Microsoft platforms and what cloud services are available on Microsoft Azure. And this is the privilege that I have to facilitate this section. So I want to thank our boss, Mr. David, for this privilege. And I want to thank you all for also being part of this technical training section. All right, so before I go ahead, let us see a little bit about who I am. I am a Microsoft certified trainer. In terms of area of specialization, I'm into information technology with more than 10 years work experience. Particular area of focus for me is data platforms, where I use data for business intelligence analytics. And I also take part in automation of business processes. This is where I help organizations on how they can automate their daily task operations into automation processes. I also take part in designing and review of exam questions, especially for Microsoft partners that are into technical training sections across the world. I also take part in corporate IT technical training. I also involve in tech-based community development. This is where we mentor young people who want to venture into technology and they don't know where to start from. We also use this community development as an opportunity for our colleagues. Maybe there is a new invention in the market and maybe clients are asking for the usage of that product. We take notes of the need for that product and we develop our capacities on how our colleagues can make use of it to solve problems for their clients. As regard my certification, this is a little bit about what I have, a master's degree in information production management. Like I did mention, I'm certified by Microsoft as data and cloud technology specialist, also a Microsoft certified trainer, and also certified by International Computer Driving License as a global trainer. For my contacts, you can see the list of the contacts I have here. All right, for presentation outline, this is what I have to discuss today. We'll be looking at what is cloud computing. As at now, I'm aware we are all conversant with cloud computing. Just to recall some of the concepts around cloud computing, then cloud service providers, an overview of Microsoft Azure, Azure features and services, key benefits of Azure services, use cases of Azure services, getting started with Azure Portal. I want to bet with you that among all the cloud service providers, the one that I'm used to is Azure. And maybe at the end of this training, you'll be prompted if you have not started to look at Azure, you'll be prompted to look at what are the opportunities and potentials that Microsoft Azure has in dealing with issues around cloud computing. All right, what is a cloud computing? Cloud computing is a technology that allows users to access and utilize computing resources over the internet instead of relying on local hardware and local hardwares or infrastructure. So the idea is that before the advent of cloud computing, people were using computers. If we recall the history of computer across the world, you can remember the first generation computer, second generation computer, third generation computer, until the recent time where people are now moving into the cloud. That okay, we don't want to rely more on physical hardware. For instance, now I'm using my laptop. Imagine maybe laptop is stolen, or maybe laptop is faulty. It means that I will not be able to have access to my the resources I have of my local hardware, which is my laptop. So, and of recent, with the advent of COVID-19, it has now been of importance to the corporate world that look, they can't rely on their local hardware again. They have to move their infrastructure into the cloud. And that is where, after the COVID-19, the world is thinking about cloud computing. And has been an opportunity for people to explore what cloud computing is and what advantages that it can provide for business and individuals, and how people can also make any out of it. So cloud computing enables organizations and individuals to scale their IT resources dynamically. Example of this resources dynamically is that, for instance, now if it is an on-premises or local hardware, that you have a storage capacity of 20 gigabytes. So if there's any need for you to increase the capacity of your storage from 20 gigabytes, you have to do a replacement, or you add another hardware. Maybe the maximum capacity of your system is 50 gigabytes. Maybe during the installation you have installed 20 gigabytes, and you want to now add a 30 gigabytes. That's the maximum. But imagine there's a need for you to now increase your storage capacity into 100 gigabytes. It means that that system you are using is out of service. But with the advent of cloud computing, it has opportunity that you can increasingly make use of the resources as the need arise. You can also, at any point in time, decrease the use of the resources if there's no need for it. For instance, now, during the Christmas time, there used to be a lot of demand in terms of purchase. Somebody is going, especially in the areas of tourism, that people want to travel from one location to another. It means that if they have a server that is managing all the transactions, there's likelihood that the demand for the usage of the storage will be very, very high. Am I correct? And if people are out of season, it means that the sales of products and services under tourism will be decreased. So instead of now, increasing the storage capacity or reducing the storage capacity, with the advent of cloud computing, it can give you an opportunity to look at the sensitivity of the market or sensitivity of the need to either increase when the need arises, or to reduce when there's no need for it. So it also uh, cloud computing also enables pay for what you use. So for instance, now that's what we call pay as you go. In the cloud computing world, it is what you have used that you pay for. But in the local hardware setting, even what you don't need, you just anticipate, oh, I'm likely to use 100 gigabytes. Then you go and buy an hardware of 100 gigabytes. Maybe you may not need it in the next 1 year, but for you to have anticipated, so you have purchased what you don't need at a particular point in time. But with the advent of cloud computing, you just pay for what you just need what you just need what resources you need to consume until there is a need for it. So these are some of the advantages that cloud computing has given to the world, with special interest on the usage and what we can benefit out of it. So at the global level, cloud computing services are being delivered by CSPs. CSP means um, cloud service providers. So at the global level, cloud computing services are delivered by cloud service providers. Majority of them will refer to them as what? public cloud service provider. All right, so the cloud service provider, what are the different cloud service providers that we have? I've categorized this into two. We have the three in the industry, in the cloud industry, we have the three giants that are cloud service providers. We know them as Amazon, that has its cloud service as Amazon Web Service, AWS. We have Microsoft that has its cloud service as Azure. And we also have Google that has its cloud service as GCP, Google Cloud um, Platform. So in terms of their percentage market share, Amazon is taking the lead. This is according to the statistics by this is according to the statistics released by Statia, released by Statista for last quarter, um, which was December last year. So Amazon is taking the lead with 31% in market share. Microsoft is followed by 24%, followed by Google, which has 11%. If you look at this is why they regard to them as the three giants. The cumulative market share of the three of these, this is 6, this is 6, that is 66%. Out of all cloud service providers, three of them are holding market share of 66%, where the remaining ones are struggling with the remaining 34%. And some of these are, we have Alibaba Cloud, we have Salesforce, we have IBM Cloud, we have Oracle Cloud, we have Tensi Cloud, and some others like Digital Ocean, like Linode, and some other cloud service providers. But these are the major prominent ones among cloud service providers. But the attention of today will be centered on Microsoft Azure as a cloud service provider. All right, so let us look at an overview of Microsoft Azure. By definition, Microsoft Azure is a cloud computing platform that is being provided by Microsoft. As at now, all the issues that are relating to cloud computing from Microsoft point of view are domiciled in the Microsoft Azure. And some of these include M365, M365, Dynamic 365. We also have Azure as a platform. So all these are cloud services that Microsoft provide. M365 is a go are the days when we used to install Office Suite on our laptop, but now that we are in the cloud, we are now making use of. Please, can we mute? Please, can we mute? Somebody's mic is on. Can we mute? So now somebody's mic is on. Who is that? Let me look at the person. Okay, the person has muted. So now all these are cloud services that Microsoft provide for the public, and all of them are domiciled in Microsoft Azure. Now, according to the overview of Microsoft Azure, it was launched on February. It was firstly launched as Windows Azure. The first name given to it was Windows Azure, which was on February 1, 2010. It was later renamed as Microsoft Azure in 2014. During the following 9 years, that is after 2014, the next 9 years, Azure experienced significant growth and expansion, positioning itself as a formidable competitor to solutions provided by Amazon, IBM, and the Google GCP. So in terms of market position, it's one of the leading cloud service providers that I've mentioned that its shareholding is about 24%. All right. Then what are the key features and services of Azure? Some of the key features, generally speaking, for cloud service platforms. The advantage of cloud service platforms include scalability, include global reach, include security, hybrid capability, and a host of other. When we are talking about scalability, we are talking about opportunity to scale down or scale up our resources based on demand. And I've given a better example in terms of maybe your storage capacity, that at the peak time, the demand for it will be high, and at off-peak time, the demand for it will be low. That is scalability. When demand increases, that is scale up. When the demand reduces, that is a scale down. There another thing that has to do with a global reach is that in Azure has a lot of data centers that are across more than 160 countries in the world. In fact, among all the cloud service providers, it is the Microsoft that has the largest number of global coverage. That's what we call region. We have the region where data centers are being domiciled. Microsoft has more than 60 data centers that spread across everywhere in the globe. For Africa, the only one they give us in Africa is in South Africa. The data center in South Africa is the one that is covering Nigeria and some other countries in Africa. In terms of security, Azure has robust security measures and compliance certifications. There are global certification regulatory bodies that certify IT industries in terms of what they need to meet up in providing services for people. Imagine a bank, a banking sector, in banking sector, they can't just use any software if that software is not compliant with global no certifications like ISO and some other organizations across the world. So another advantage of Azure is that it has hybrid capability, which help us with integration with on-premises infrastructure. Now, there is a concept that we know as a cloud services. What are the different cloud services that are available in cloud computing? We have one as infrastructure as a service, infrastructure as a service. We have another one as platform as a service, and we have another one as software as a service. So almost all cloud service providers, they offer these three types of cloud services. These three types of cloud services: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So now, from all these platforms, it Azure has made integration very possible from the on-premises to the cloud. These are cloud, all these are cloud, but we also have what? We also have on-prem, that is on premises. So when we have technology that can leverage on both on-premises and cloud, we call it an hybrid. That is, that technology has capability of of leveraging or, or integrating on-premises infrastructure with what? With cloud-based infrastructure. It's one of the greatest advantages of Azure. All right. As regards some of the key benefits of Azure services, um, some of them involve computing services, storage services, networking services, database services, AI machine learning services, developer and DevOps services, IoT and edge services, security and identity services. All these are different areas of professions in what? In cloud service, in IT industry. All these are different areas. For instance, if you say you are a developer, they have a service for you in developer and DevOps area. If you are telling us you are a database administrator, they have a solution for you in database services. If you are saying you are a network system administrator or network administrator, there is a provision for you for what you can offer. Likewise, if you are saying you are a data scientist or you are a machine learning specialist, there's also a solution for you in Azure. Or you are telling us you are in terms of cybersecurity, there is also a provision for you in terms of what these Azure services can be of value. So all these are just some of the products that are under each one of those services available. All right, so what are the benefits of using Azure services? The benefits are more than this, but these are the ones that I just paying my hands on. In terms of cost efficiency, it provides flexible pricing model. There are a lot of pricing model. The one that people usually go for is pay as you go. We have enterprise level pricing model. We have pay as you go pricing model and some other stuffs. In terms of flexibility, yes, you are at liberty to choose the tools, applications, and framework you want. All of them are available at your disposal. There are continuous innovation. Yes, access to recent cutting-edge technologies and services. Microsoft updates their technologies almost per minute, per seconds. And sometimes you may not be notified. Maybe you have done something with an interface. By the time you come back, you will see that the interface has changed. So that shows the continuous innovations and how people are, consuming technology in order to make it accessible to their need. It also has high availability and disaster recovery. High availability and disaster recovery in tech, we call it HADR. HADR. That is high availability and disaster recovery. The advantage of this is that for any Azure data center, it has a replica of 3. Maybe I've done a subscription under a region 1, right? Under a region 1. So this region 1 keep 3 copies of my data. It keeps 3 copies of my data. So the first one is what? We call it data center 1, data center 1. Second one, we call it data center 2. The third one, we call it data center 3. That is, for me to do a subscription in a region, then we call it availability region. Then it means that my data has been duplicated in 2 other places. And the idea is that for high availability, Microsoft will tell you that, okay, for any service that you purchase on Azure, we have SLA, we call it something SLA, service level agreement of 99.99%. 99.99%. That is, we have a service level agreement for you to have purchased our product that availability will be on 99.99%. That is, at any point in time, all the services that you have purchased, you will have access to it based on 99.99%. It means that the only time that there may be a challenge is what? 0.01, which is somehow negligible. So all this cannot be gotten on premises. This particular advantage in terms of availability and disaster recovery, in terms of SLA percentage, cannot be gotten from on premises, because no on premises can give you an assurance that it will be availability will be 99.99%. For instance, now imagine I have a database system that I'm managing. There could be a lot of factors that can hinder my the usage of my hardware. Maybe it is spoiled. Maybe it was stolen. Maybe where I have kept it is locked. Maybe I have issues with virus, or maybe um, there's a lot of things that can happen that can not make me access my on premises. But with the advent of Azure services, we have high availability in terms of I want this and it is available. And disaster recovery. The time of disaster recovery is that we have duplicates. We have duplicates of my data at 2 data centers. So the idea is that there's what we call failover. If there is a challenge with my data center, because it has 2 other copies, it can switch over or mail over to another data center, which will prevent me from redundancy. That, oh, network is off. There's no need for network off. It will switch over automatically to 2 other centers for backup. So issues of scalability Azure easily scale resources up and down. I've mentioned that before. The hybrid capability, it supports hybrid cloud scenarios, integrating on-premises infrastructure. All right. What else? Some other benefits include diverse service offerings, open source support. The issue of open source support has to do with if we are, I'm into data, prevention. There's what we call open source data management platform, and there's what we call commercial commercials data management platform. For the open source, some we have examples of MariaDB. We have examples of Postgres, uh, PostgreSQL, right? All these are SQL Server. All these are SQL Server that we use in managing the platforms of data. So let me add somebody in. Okay. Fenitola, you're welcome back. So now, all these are, what supports that Microsoft has also offer to open source support. And there's what we call marketplace. There's what we call marketplace, marketplace in Azure. There's what we call marketplace in Azure. This is where we can have access to some open source services and applications. It also has a flexible identity and access management. This is what we call IAM, identity and access management. That also has data storage and management capability. All these are some of the benefits. All right, so I've cited some case studies where we use different Azure services to provide cloud computing services. The first one that I want to mention is about retail revolution. That's about retail evolution. And in retail evolution, I want to look particular angle that has to do with what? Customer experience. That's what we call CX, CX um, UX, right? That's what we call CX UX. CX means customer experience, or what we call UX, user experience. Now, the idea is that in customer experience, we want to see whether services and products that we are offering our customers, if they are happy with it, in form of what? Feedback. And what are some of the actual services that we can use to also provide this solution? So we are looking at a challenge, right? A challenge is that there's a global retail chain aims to improve customer engagement and optimize inventory management. Maybe a customer has come to me, Kupola, in our company, we have this challenge. Is there anything you can do to help me? Okay, I say, okay, since this is my industry and this is what I offer, I can say, okay, I can make use of Azure services to provide this challenge, solution to this challenge. What are the solutions that I may need? What are the services that I may need to offer the solution? I may make use of Azure, Azure Machine Learning. I may make use of Azure IoT Hub, and I may make use of what? App Service. And these are some of the things that they will do for me in addressing the challenge that the customer is having. So at the end of the day, there will be what? There will be a benefit from using this solution in solving the challenge. And the benefits are there will be increased sales. If customer is happy with your product, of course, definitely there will be an increased sales, because what? Their feedback is telling you what you need to correct, where you have done well, and where you have not done very well. At the end of the day, we also achieve operational efficiency. Real-time inventory management, reduce carrying costs. So the idea is that we have seen a problem that a company is facing, which has to do with retail revolution. We have seen solutions that can address those issues from Azure point of view, and we have also seen some of the benefits that can be derivable from that solution. Another case study can be a situation whereby a financial service, in financial services, they want to secure their cloud services. There's what we call data assets. There's what we call data assets. So once you have your workload that is domiciled in the cloud, and you are also aware of vulnerability and threat of what? Cyber criminals, then you have to secure your what? You have to secure your cloud environment where you have the assets for you or for your clients. So there's a challenge in this industry. A major bank sought to modernize its infrastructure while ensuring the highest level of security. This can be a case study of what somebody is facing or what a company is facing. And maybe I'm approached. Popular, we know you are into Azure Cloud Service um, solutions. Is there anything you can do for us in this challenge that we have? So I can say, okay, let me look at different solutions, different services that can address the solutions, and I can now recommend this Azure Security Center, which is being used to implement advanced threat protection. I can also recommend Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Virtual Network, which can be used to create a secure and scalable network architecture. I can also recommend SQL database, which can be used to migrate critical financial data to a secure and managed instance. So after this, somebody may be interested, what is the expected outcome? What should be the benefits? At the end of the day, by tackling this challenge, by providing solutions to the challenge, it can help us to enhance the security of our cloud environment. It can also help us to save what? To save cost. Another challenge can be, there's an education revolution nowadays. Higher institutions, they are moving their courses into online. That, oh, look, pandemic has taught us lesson that we should not only have physical classes, but we can as well make use of the use of technology to organize learning. So that's what we call LMS, learning management system. So these are different solutions that can be provided, and these are possible benefits that can be accrued. Or somebody want to enter again? Let me add the person. Mr. Ibrahim Yusuf. All right. So this this one is about a tech, health tech. So how they can also make use of that in their industry. There's a particular challenge they have. A healthcare technology startup aimed to create personalized healthcare solutions. So these are different solutions from Azure that can help us to solve this challenge. And at the end of the day, these are possible benefits that is are derivable from that solutions. In transport, smart fleet management. In smart fleet management, people are now tracking people that are into logistic companies are now tracking their vehicles, their vehicles from which location it is available, why it has not moved from where it is, tracking their drivers, tracking deliveries, and if there's a challenge, they can also provide solutions at any point in time. So I have a lot of series of challenges and the possible solutions that can be, provided by Microsoft Azure. All right. So now, enough of theoretical um, explanations. Let me take you to live demos so that you can see how things are being done, so that you can appreciate what Microsoft Azure has in stock. Please let me ask at this point, is anybody having any question on I should proceed? You can you can unmute, you can on your mic to speak up. Is anybody in the house?
You can go ahead, sir. I think the demonstration part we can have a question there. So,
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Samuel, are you in the house? Mr. Ibrahim, Mr. Fatai, are you in the house?
No question now from me.
Very much with you, sir.
All right, thank you. So I want to ask a question. How many of you is having how many of you are having Microsoft accounts? How many of you? You can just drop on the chat, or if you want to speak. If you have it, you can drop it on the chat. I have. If you don't have, just let us know. Microsoft account. Because if you don't have Microsoft accounts, you can't access Azure. Mr. Ibrahim? Mr. Ibrahim, you want to speak?
The chat is disabled. You can't drop the yes or no.
Okay, it's disabled. I will have to activate that. Where is settings? Okay, you just use your mic. You can speak up if you have what they call it, Microsoft account. Yes. Yeah, is anybody having Microsoft account?
Yes, I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. Anybody else? Is anybody else? All right.
Also,
Mr. Sam?
I think
I
I have to, sir.
have accounts.
Mr. Sama, you said what?
I have an account with Microsoft too.
Okay, thank you. So that should lessen our workload then. Okay, let me open my browser and connect you with my browser. Just a minute. All right. All right, so let me share my browser. Please, can you see my browser?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So please take note of this. Subscription MSDN platform subscription has a remaining credit of 92.27 credits. So the idea is that for Microsoft Azure, it is not free. Microsoft Azure is not free, but there could be some situations whereby they offer free services. Those free services they are offering, they will give you in lieu that, okay, instead of you of paying for that amount, Microsoft will now give you that credit. They will credit your account with that value. For instance, now my own is I'm just left with what 92.29 US dollars for my account. But the reality is that the services that we have on Azure, they are not free, but sometimes we can be having some free credits, maybe to carry out some operations, as the case may be. No. So now the idea is that for you to have access to Azure Portal, so the web link is Azure. This is the web link. This is the web link. https://portal.azure.com. That is the web link. If I click on enter, it will take me into login page. And from the login page, it will ask me of my login details. It will ask me of my login details in terms of my username and what? And my password. If I don't have username and password, from the Microsoft account that I've created. If I don't have it, I can't have access to the what? To Microsoft Portal. For somebody who may be interested on how to create Azure account, just go to Google, just type Microsoft account, Microsoft account setup. If you go to Microsoft account setup, you can see create a Microsoft account. From create a Microsoft account, you can see that, okay, this is when you want to have a new account. But if you have, there are two opportunities. Maybe I can say maybe Olawale, right? I want to use Olawale at something, or maybe I have an email address. If I have an existing email address, maybe at Gmail or at my organizational domain, maybe Olawale at 3mtt.org, right? Maybe that is my email, official email. I can use it to register or to create an account on what? On Microsoft account creation. Or I can as well make use of my, maybe all this public email platform like Gmail. I can make use of this to create my, so the idea is that what I use as my Gmail account, I can also use it as my what? Microsoft account. Or if I want to make use of Microsoft mail platforms, I can come to this and either make use of Outlook or what? Hotmail. Is that Outlook on Hotmail? If I'm comfortable with this, I can say Olawale at outlook.com or at hotmail.com. So this is a case where I want to use the email platform of Microsoft. But if I want to use my personalized email address, I will come and select this option. So let us assume we know how to create this, and we can now have access to the portal. Now from this portal, from the demo, we want to see the exploration of the portal. Now, immediately you enter the portal, it will take you to the home. This is the home page. And from the home page, you can now check all the available Azure services. Now, if you want to check by categories, come to these three lines. If you want to check by categories, come to these three lines and come to all services. All services. You click on all services, and it will give you all the services available on Azure. It gives you all the services available on Azure, category by category. What are the possible categories? We have AI and machine. This is AI and machine. We have 22 services for AI and machine learning, which is for data science. We have analytics. We have how many services for analytics? We have 21 services for analytics. If you go to compute, we can scroll down from this side. Is that we scroll down from this side, or we just click on this side. So for compute, we have 36 services available. All these are services. All these are services available on Azure. If you're about container, if you're about databases, if you're about identity, which has to do with security, which is about management and governance, which has to do with compliance, or we want to talk about migration, data migration, which can be cloud-based migration or on-premises based migration. We have security, we have networking, we have different kinds. This is about web mobile. This is about what? Dev what? DevOps. So all these are different services that we have on what? On Azure. On Azure, all the services. So for instance, now if I want to go to databases, I can just click on database and it will give me all available services that we have on Azure. Are we together? That's number 1 point. The number 2 point is that you can access all services from here. Another way you can also access the service is when you go to this search bar. You can go to this search bar. There's a search bar here. So if you are sure of what you are looking for, just come to the search bar and type the service that you are looking for. For instance, now, if I'm looking for Azure Monitor is being used to, monitor the operations and activities that are going on the platform. So if what I'm looking for is Azure Monitor, is everybody speaking up?
Yes, Mr. Kukola, there are some people that have been waiting in the waiting room to join us for some time.
Waiting room?
Okay, that's what I learned at
waiting
our
room?
WhatsApp.
I'm not sure. That is not correct.
Okay,
I
sometimes
have added everybody up that was.
is real one here already.
Sir?
Is real one here?
You said what?
Is real one here?
No, this one is not here.
He just messaged me some time ago that he has been waiting in the waiting room for some time.
I'm checking the waiting room. Nobody is asking. Maybe when there was network issue.
All right, it's okay. Go on, please. Yes, I'm back.
You should join again.
All right. Go on. Yeah.
Thank you. So now I've demonstrated that somebody's mic is on. So I've demonstrated that we can check all Azure services by going through this, or we go to the search bar and type the service that we are looking for. For instance, now I've typed, maybe I'm looking for Azure Monitor. Since I've typed it, it has what we call IntelliSense. IntelliSense has to do with, as I am typing, it is bringing up everything that has to do with what I'm typing. For instance, now under services, it has brought Azure Monitor. It has brought Azure Monitor Workspace. It has brought Azure Monitor for this, almost everything that has to do with Azure. So it has brought them. My typing on the search bar has brought almost everything that I'm interested in. So for me, if my interest is just Azure Monitor, I can just type Azure Monitor and see what are the different services that I need. If this is the one that I need, of course, I have to come and create. If it is not the one that I need, I still go there to Azure Monitor and see different services that are available. So that's the second way of accessing resources on on Azure. And the third way is when you go back to the home and you come to create a resource. Can you remember? The first one is to go through here. I got a notification somebody want to join. Let me check. Chukwemeka. Yeah, has been added. Chukwemeka, you're welcome on board. All right. So now I've said that you can check the resources. You can access the resources from here by going through all the services, or you come to the search bar and type what you need. Or the third one is when you come to the create a resource. Create a resource. So if I click on create a resource, it will give me the highlight of all possible resources that are available. Right? So the first time we were asked to use Ubuntu, I came here to activate my own Ubuntu, which was an online-based operating system. So I came here to to create and operate my Ubuntu. So the idea of this is that anywhere I am globally, I can have access to my Linux environment. If I have anything to do, I can do the work and move ahead. So these are the three available platforms where you can have access to all the resources. All right. Then let me check the slide. Something else I want to mention the um, under the live demo. All right. So building simple Azure cloud solutions. All right. Then deployment and configuration of a virtual machine. All right. Let us see. As a case study, how can we create a virtual machine? A virtual machine is an infrastructure that can make us have access to some of the things that we could have normally have access to on our maybe on-premises environment. For instance, now let me go to my web and come to the home. Now, if I want to create a virtual machine, It's either I click on here, check for where Azure virtual machines is located, or I check Azure services from here and look for that product I'm looking for, which is virtual machine, or I come to the search bar and I type virtual machine. Can you see that it has come? So those are the three ways I can have access. What we are doing now is we want to deploy what we call a virtual machine. We want to deploy a virtual machine. All right, so from here we come to create, right? We come to create, and from the create we select the first one, right? We are talking about infrastructure deployments now, and what we are deploying is what? A virtual machine. We can as well deploy maybe a database on Azure SQL database. Now, in terms of configuration setting, so these are the things that I have to provide. Can you see? These are the things that I have to provide before my virtual machine can be created. I have to supply basic details as regards what I want to create. I want to mention issues about disk size, about networking, about management, about monitoring, about advanced, and what have you. All right. So for instance, now, I did mention that Azure is not a free service. You have to have your what? Subscription. And that is why for any resource you want to create or for any service you want to make use of on Azure, you have to answer this particular question: subscription. Can you see it is asterisk? Asterisk means it is compulsory that you provide answer to that. Anywhere you see asterisk, it means that you have to provide answer before you can be able to create that deployment. So let me take my cursor here for further information. All the resources in an Azure subscription are built together, right? So here, if I have a subscription, I have to select that subscription that I'm using to create this service. And the only subscription I have now is this one that has a value of 92.27 92.27 US dollars, right? So now, after you have provided your subscription, which has to do with your payment, you also have to indicate your resource group. There's what we call a resource group. A resource group is like a container where all the resources that were needed to carry out a solution is being made available. For instance, now, maybe I want to create a back end. I want to create a back end database for data collection, right? I want to create a back end for data collection, right? What are the services that I will need? One, I will need a database from Azure. So it means that that database will be in the same resource group. Then I will also need what we call app web. App web, that is the one that will give me an interface between where people can type and also submit those details, whether on the mobile or on the laptop. So I will have app web that will serve as entry point. I will have the database that is serving as what? As storage. At some other point, I may still have some other resources. Also, all these resources will now be inside one resource group that is now giving a solution to a particular problem at hand. This is what we call a resource group. So if I want to select from the available resource group, I can select from anyone. If I want to do another one, I can create what? A new one. So let me just say 3MTT underscore resource group, right? 3MTT underscore resource group. I create on OK. So that's my resource group. I have a subscription. I have a resource group. Then what is the name of the virtual machine? What is the name of that virtual machine? Maybe I want to create uh um okay, let me call it 3MTT VM. 3MTT VM. Please pay attention. You can see that it is telling us some notification. Azure resource names cannot contain special character. right? Like the space that I have given. White space or begin with this, and that. So it does not allow me to give that space. Instead, I can do something like this. Linux VM names may only contain letters. This and this. Okay, it doesn't accept underscore. Let me give dash. So dash has been accepted. So it has case sensitivity and it has notation sensitivity. So at any point in time, if you are typing anything that is not acceptable, it will give you red color just for you to adjust what you are typing in order to move ahead. All right. So now from here, we also have what we call region. Region has to be selected. Regions are where Microsoft data centers are located globally. I did mention that we have more than 60 data centers across the world from Microsoft point of view. So you have to select where your data is domicile, which region is your data domicile. Let me check Africa again. I think we only have one in South Africa. We only have one data center in Africa. Can you see now? Which is a South African North. South African North. The only data center, the only Microsoft data center that we have in Africa is in South Africa North. So you can select any of your interests. So let me leave it by default. There's also what we call availability option. You know, I did mention about availability the other time, that availability is talking about what? When you're talking about high availability, that is where do you want your data to be available. Azure offers a range of options for managing availability and resilience for your applications. Architect your solution to use replicated VMs in availability zones or availability sets. So the idea is that here is just to select whether I want to use availability zone, availability set on Azure virtual machine case set. If I'm not interested, I'll just select no infrastructure redundancy required. So it means that I don't need any backup. I don't need any backup. But let me leave it by default. Then, since I've indicated I need a backup, immediately I select I don't need a backup. This one will be off. Availability zone will be off. Let me select no infrastructure. Can you see that it is off? Because I've said I don't need backup. So if I need backup, there will be something else again that will ask me on which of the zones do you want to have your backup. As at now, it is none, but I have, these are the different 3 duplicates that I mentioned the other time. That you are selecting a data center that has capability of duplicating your data in 3 places, so that if one is off, the other 2 are available for you to do what we call failover. So let me select one from here. So 1, that is my primary data source, will be in zone 1, whereby zone 2 and zone 3 will be what? Will be backup. All right. So this one is talking about a security type. The security type that has been selected by default is this. If I'm comfortable, that is fine. Then here is asking about what virtual machine, what a virtual machine do I want to create? There are a lot of virtual machine that we can create. There are a lot. If you click here, you will see different um you see different virtual machines that you can generate. If you can also click see all images to see the list of what you can do. So this is just Ubuntu. We also have server. We have Oracle Linux. We have so many services that can be created. So this is about SQL Server. This is about SQL Server. If I'm interested, so let me just create a Ubuntu server. Let me just create Ubuntu server, or let me create an operating system. Maybe I want to use Windows 11 Pro. I want to use Windows 11 Pro. You can see immediately I select that. Some things are coming up that, okay, I'm selecting Windows 11 Pro. The idea is that instead of having Windows 11 Pro on my system, I want to have it in the cloud so that I can do work with it. There was a company I consulted for recently that we have to use what we call, that's what we call cloud PC, cloud PC, that is cloud personal computer. So each one of the service providers to the organizations were assigned different PC numbers that are virtual, and we are making use of Windows 11 operating system. All right, so if you need to select any other thing, you can come to the image. There, this is the size, 3.5 gigabyte memory. If I want to select something else that is not among what has been selected, I can come to see all sizes. See all sizes. This one will now give me opportunity as regards what could be my RAM size, what could be my virtual CPU size, what could be my data disk size, what will be my maximum IOPS size, what will be my local storage size, what will be my premium disk, and the cost associated with each one of them. So the least cost we have is this. Can you see this? We even have 3.0, but see the RAM size. For a price of 3.80 US dollar per month for to have an access to an operating system, which is Windows 11, I can pay 3.80. Of course, you should be aware that it will be very, very slow because the functionalities are also too low. The functionalities are just too low. So let us just make use of the default. If you want to make use of the default, we just select the default one, which is this. And after we have selected this, we click on select. We click on select. So from there, administrator account. So for you to have an access to it, because it's a cloud base, you have to provide your administrator account. Let me provide my own and my password. So the value must be between 12 and 123. So the one I have typed is not enough. Let me look at the minimum. So this one has been accepted, confirm. So the duplicate is also accepted. Now this one is about public inbound. Public inbound means, do I want anybody to have access to that my operating system? If allow selected, if not, I can click that nobody should have access to it. But if I want people to have access to it, then I have to select this and also select what will be the mode of accessing to it. Is it through remote desktop protocol, or through the SSH, or through the web address? So, but let me just leave it for none. For licensing, I confirm I have an eligible Windows 10 or 11 license with multi-tenant hosting rights. So the idea is that for you to have access to this, you have to confirm this. After that, you go, all this I'm doing, what we call configuration setting. I'm deploying an infrastructure, which is a virtual machine, and I have to configure the settings. So after that, I go to the disk. From the disk, I'm also selecting which disk am I using. Am I using this disk size, or there's something else I want to use? Am I using premium SSD, or I want to use standard SSD, or whatever that I want to use? All right. So these are different things that we need to configure in order to have a particular value. In order to have a particular value. This is about networking. This is about networking. So by default, all of them, they came up by default, and thereafter, if there's any need for us, we can also go ahead to do that. For load balancing, I think it was on the old school platform. the issues around load balancing was mentioned. Load balancing is being used to manage traffic in terms of your network, the traffic to your network platform. So whether whether a part is experiencing so much traffic, or another part is expressing low traffic level. So we can now look at them, and the computer can share the workload as the case may be. So after this, you can also go to the management. From the management, you also see issues around the security that has to do with what Microsoft Defender for Cloud. These are about identity. These are about Azure Active Directory. These are about what should be the policy in terms of what auto shuts down. Do I have a particular time of the day I want to shut down this operating system? Or if there's any challenge, do I have an email address that can be contacted? Do I want to back up anything on this system? Do I want to back up? Or if I'm a guest OS updates, in terms of guest OS updates, do I want to have that as the case may be? So we can also have monitoring. We can also have advanced. We can also have what we call tag. If everything is correct about what we want to create, we just go to review and create. We just go to review and create. So from here, we can now see that, okay, everything that we have been selected have been accepted. If it is not accepted, the running will not be performed. And that is why all this running that is going on is verifying that everything that I've supplied, they are enough to create a virtual machine for me, So can you see validation passed? That is, I've provided all the required information for me to create a what? A virtual machine. All right, so from here, I can now go to create. From the create, it will now go for deployment. You will see how deployment works. Initializing deployment, that is, I've selected what I need, then I've also initiated deployment. This can take some other time. So that is that. Another thing that I want us to, why this deployment is all going, deployment is in progress. Whatever the updates will be reflecting under here, Why this one is also going on, let me also do a kind of database management, how we can configure. So all this one is going on, all this deployment is going on for virtual machine. For this, let me quickly, now you see now it is asking me for my login details, term of username and password. All right. So while this one is ongoing, deployment is in progress. Somebody want to enter again? That's Coyote. Read one. Mr. Ridwan, you are welcome. All right. So all right. So while this one is ongoing, I have interest to also deploy a database. So from here, if I have any database that I want to deploy, I can just come to here and check database, right? So the one that I want to create is what? Azure SQL. Azure SQL. So Azure SQL is a database service that is being used to manage our what? Our databases that we have. So for now, I don't have anyone. What I need to do is to create. I can create SQL resources, Azure SQL resources, or I come here to create. So this is being used for what? This is being used for creating a platform for Azure SQL. So if I click on create from here, it will bring something out just now that will ask me, these are different deployment options that are available for Azure. These are different platforms that are available for Azure. Which of these is of interest to me? Right? We have SQL databases, we have SQL managed instances, we have SQL virtual machine. We have SQL virtual machine. This SQL virtual machine means that I want to create a server. I want to create a SQL server that will be running on virtual machine. That's the meaning of this one. I want to create a server, a SQL server that will be running live on virtual machine. So, but the one I want to create is just SQL database. I create SQL database, and the process is all going. Let us check the one we created earlier. Can you see the deployment is still in progress? Deployment is still in progress. So depending on the weight of what you are trying to create, the time taking for the deployment can be what? Can be much or lesser. Now, can you see now? This one has been created. That was the message I just received now, that our virtual machine has been created. This is how do we have access to it? You can just click on 3MTT VM. So if I click on this, we should have an overview of the virtual machine. Let us go back to here. So here is also giving us some stress that has to be with configuration. It has to be with configurations, because if you don't know how to configure, you can't deploy. If you very mindful, you can see that some of the basic operations of a system administrator that all of us are becoming as a cloud solution specialist is that we should be able to manage infrastructure very well, so that we can do deployment and we can do decommissioning when that services are not requested again. So for database management, I have to provide the Azure. I also have to provide the resource group. So for me, I want to make use of the resource group that I just created. I don't want to create a new. If you want to create a new one, you just click on create a new one. But for me, I just want to make use of existing, which is the 3MTT resource group. So the idea of resource group is that things that are related for what I want to use them for, they are being grouped together. All right. So now database name, what do I want to call database name? 3MTT DB. 3MTT DB. That is database. 3MTT DB. That's the name of the database. Right? Then in terms of the server, so I have to provide the server by typing what I think should be my server name, 3MTT. Maybe that's my server name. Oh, we don't have a server. I have to create a server, a new server. Right? Server name 3MTT. That's server name. So server name is from this dot this. All these are server name. Right? So now location is in US. I've selected that. So now if we have to, it's a database, and in database we have to provide your login details. Now for authentication, it is asking you, do you want to use Microsoft Entra only authentication, or you want to use both SQL and Microsoft Entra authentication, or you want to use SQL authentication? So for me, I want to use SQL authentication. By using SQL authentication, it means that I have to provide my username and password, my server login. Let me use my surname and initials. right? That is login, server admin login, maybe password, right? So the value must not be empty. Yes, it cannot be empty. Password and confirm this. Let me do this again. All right, so it has been accepted. So because before you can run a server, before you can run a SQL database, you must have a server, a database server. I click on OK. I click on OK. I click on this. From here, I also have to make some other configuration settings from here. Here it's talking about work environment. Do I want to make use as development or production? There are three types of environment. We have test environment, we have development environment, and we have production environment. So for me, test is not available. Is either I'm doing development or production. So once I've confirmed all this, I can go to networking and see what are the different configurations that I have, so that if I have need to change anyone, I can be aware of it. So you can see that immediately it's giving me the cost. It's giving me the cost that if I have to select this for now, the cost is what per month. The cost per month is 4.78 USD per month. So just let me leave it by default. Security, everything under security, I want to leave it by default. Additional settings. Does somebody need my attention?
Yes, please. Thank you. You have been speaking for over an hour or so. Thank you for those information. So please just use like 5 minutes to recap so that there can be question time before we conclude. It's almost 3 o'clock.
Oh, sorry. Uh, this is what I know how to do best. And once I'm in the class, I hardly remember time. All right. So this is about deployment processes. For now, we have looked at two deployments that we can do. We have looked at how we can deploy a virtual machine, and we have also looked at how we can deploy a SQL database. So I mean, if I just go through this and I'm fine, I can just click on review. So the review will tell me if everything that I've selected are okay. Then I go to create. So now after I've clicked on create, then deployment will now be ongoing until everything is fine. Can you see initializing deployment? For here, this our 3MTT virtual machine has been created. You can see this is an overview of the virtual machine. If I want to connect it remotely, I can connect it from here remotely. Can you see that it is not yet started because I've not configured it to start? So I can make it start, I can stop it, I can refresh it, and if I want to connect it to outside, this is the IP address of this of this service. So if I've made it accessible online, it means that whoever that has this IP address can access this virtual machine. That is the meaning. If I made it open, accessible on the internet, and that is why in the configuration setting you have to specify whether you want people to have access to it or you don't want people to have access to it. All right. So this is about SQL. Deployment is still in progress. So this is how far we go on demo. Let me take you back to the slide so that we can round up from that side too. Let me share the demo side. Um, share. All right. So this is the slide. Getting started with Azure. We have seen how we can create an Azure account. We have also seen exploration of Azure portal interface. We have also seen how we can access Azure services. And I have demonstrated how we can just do deployment and configuration of infrastructure services on Azure. So in the course of this training, we have been able to look at the meaning of cloud computing, different cloud service providers, an overview of Microsoft Azure features and services, key benefits of Azure services, use cases of Azure services, and I was able to demonstrate some Azure capabilities. All right, so if you have any question, it's time for questions. Thank you, guys. If you have any question.
Thank you for the presentation, sir. Really,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
But sir, I want to ask this question, sir.
Yeah.
Like you said, some of the questions that you like applications questions, like has to do with a financial something, or what you have just the message you did now is for how to launch the virtual machine and SQL on the Microsoft Azure.
Yes. Yeah.
But if
Configurations.
somebody asks me,
Yeah.
yes. So in the case of like a problem being solved, like if that has to do with financial deployment or banking sector issues. So do we have to do that? So how does somebody go about that? Or does it have to be specific with the problem we are solving?
Okay, I've come from the perspective of having possibility of challenges that can happen in industry. I was able to show about 7 cases, and I demonstrated how we can address each one of them, right? And what could be the possible outcome in terms of benefit of using that solution. For instance, now, if an organization contacts you that, oh, in our industry, we are having, or in our company, we are having this challenge. The first thing is to break down that challenge. Okay, this challenge, is it related to security side? Is it related to infrastructure side? Is it related to operation side? Is it, once you can get where that challenge belong to, then you can now start to be looking at, okay, what are the services that can address this particular challenge at hand. So there's what we call breaking down this problem into smaller units. And once you can now say, okay, this belongs to this, then what are the services that can solve this? At the end of the day, you'll be fine in providing solutions that are needed. So in most cases, we look for what we call business case. It's when you have a business case that you'll be able to know the solution that you can provide for the challenge.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, in the absence of no questions, Mr. David, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. It's a very elaborate training, and you have really shown your competence. And while you were at the training, while you were doing the training, I was in another meeting, and interestingly, I think there might be a project for you as a result of this. Yeah, so we just forward your. Do you have a LinkedIn page?
Okay, I think after this page, I have a LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn page.
Okay, good. So just forward the whatever to me, the link. Forward it to me. Yeah, I will forward it after looking at it.
I'll do
So
that.
that something can come in from this. And like I told the others, you never know how things will be. It's true that 3MTT is arranging something for you people, but it can even come by a casual training like this. So
Yeah.
you think you are skilled in, that you have been experienced in, yes, please do contact me privately and let us discuss, and I will bring you up. And it's a kind of teaching and assessment at the same time, so to
Exactly.
speak. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, I'm happy to have you. And there is also another professional who is working on a project on AWS, and he has agreed with me to
Yeah.
bring it up in one of our classes. But the issue is that it might not be a Wednesday. It's going to be an online class. So he says when it's ready, he wants to do the project to a good percentage. So he will now come up and just show us how he was able to do it, in one of our online classes. So it might not be a Wednesday. Whenever it's ready, he will let me know. I'll just contact the class so that he can also take us on AWS, the project is doing.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's it, class. Yes, on Monday we'll be meeting up. DevOps students, Mr. Fatai and Mr. Samuel, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. I want to suggest that we meet 1 o'clock on Mondays. I want to collapse the classes together. So because I want you people to, what we are doing now is cloud services. And basically, we want to go into, as much as possible, the cloud service providers and the different applications we can do under them. So I think it will be good if you people can come together instead of having morning 10 and then you people are coming in by, and then cloud computing will be coming in by 1. So look at it. If it is possible, do you understand? If it's possible that we come up at 12 o'clock, the class will be starting by 12 because there will be a business class before we have our own class. 12 to 1. Then 1 to 3, we'll be having our class. If that can be workable, do let me know. But if it is not possible, also let me know so that I can see how things can be adjusted accordingly. Okay?
sir.
Yes, it's all right. So, yeah, that will be the end of the class today. If you have any other questions, Mr. Kukola is right with us. So please, you can get across to him on Microsoft